Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Growin Up Podcast. We're your hosts. My name is Amber.
And my name's Nevaeh.
And if this is your first time listening, we like to talk about anything and everything that has to do with growing up. So if that sounds like something you guys would be interested in, stay tuned for this week's episode.
Here we are, back again. 2025, end of 2025, or not end of 2025, end of January. My bad. I'm just skipping ahead.
1 month down of 2025.
Oh, that's crazy. That month flew by.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, in contrary, I have heard a lot of people say that this felt like the longest month ever.
Yeah, it definitely was. So much has gone on already. That's why it feels like it's been a long time.
I think just like in the world in general, like there's so much going on, like politically, environmental, health, like all the sectors of the world. So I feel like that kind of drew everything out for a minute.
Yeah, that's
but
very true.
It's February. And also, though, I look forward to February because it's my birthday month. So I think that's why I was like, it flew by for me because I was like, let's get to February.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall rating of January, scale of 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm January. Maybe like a 4. Maybe a 4.2. It wasn't bad. I don't think it was bad, but I feel like I definitely could have done more to make it better.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. I would rate my January probably like a 2.5.
Yeah,
we'll get into it later, but
yeah,
we'll get into it later. But yeah, what definitely wasn't a January I was expecting for 2025. But
yeah, well, at least hopefully that just means that you got it all out, like all of the, bad stuff out before the good comes for the rest of the year. So hopefully that'll
literally,
yeah, no pun intended, but
oh my god. Anyways, let's go into this week's learning topic. Dibs on who goes first?
I can go because I actually.
First off, if this is your first time listening, every week during the podcast, we like to talk about something that we learned over the previous week, whether that's a fun fact, an actual like something that's useful in life, anything that we learned over the past week, we like to share.
That sounded like a jab at somebody.
Go ahead, Nevaeh.
Okay. So I actually learned this last night. So I had a Galentine's yesterday and we ended up going out, but meeting new friends, hanging out. So this is kind of where I found my learning topic, which I'm actually really proud of. And actually, I feel like you might be familiar with this because you dabbled in music, but I learned about the Chladni plates. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Oh, okay. So my friend, we hung out yesterday for Galentine's, she studies neurology and that's what she wants to do. But one thing that she like talks about a lot is like frequency and resonance. And I think you talked about this, like how you were meditating and like we were talking about the sounds and whatnot. So this Chladni plate, it's like a metal plate, and she plugs it into her piano and it builds off of resonance and frequency. So when you push a certain key on the keyboard, the plates will move and vibrate and it'll move the sand. So there's like maybe like a handful of sand on this plate and it moves it, but with that, whatever that tone or frequency is on the like that's being played by the piano, it'll actually create like different images or shapes or patterns in the sand. So like she played one and then it like made the sand into like a bunch of little dots, like even line dots. And then she did like one and it made a circle. And I like was trying to do a little bit of research prior to coming on here and talking about that. And this guy, he was playing like a violin on one of the plates. And like he made like this interesting, like it was still symmetrical. You could still see like the defined lines, but it was different than what we had seen on the piano, but it was from a violin. So I don't know, that it was just really interesting. And she connected it a lot to like, because like resonance isn't only like a thing within like music, but just in life in general, like different like frequencies and things that you hear and whatnot that has
Yeah.
a reaction to how you interpret that sound as your brain, because it's kind of very similar. You have those connections that
Yeah.
connect. So that was really cool, and I thought that was really interesting to kind of talk about and also see if you've heard about it too, because I was like, whoa.
Yeah. That's actually really cool. I've heard about that somewhere, but you're right. It's in my book. My book has talked about things like that,
Yeah.
though, the
And
neurological
apparently
effects of that.
she was telling me that the guy who discovered it or like initially researched it, that he was doing that and it would make like really distinct patterns, like um down to like the like Egyptian hieroglyphic things, like down to
Mhm.
that point. And
Huh.
so I don't know, I it kind of threw me down a rabbit hole. And then she also like just based off her vibe, like like we were talking about the big like things
Yeah.
that kind of like touch like a different part of you. So I don't know, it kind of made me see the science part behind things like that and made me more
Yeah.
interested in it, because me myself, like that's too big and complex thing for me to like actually dive into, and it's kind of
Yeah.
scary for me to dive into that. So at least I got a little bit of a glance into it.
Nevaeh was living her life in fear.
I know, I'm the fear guy from Inside Out.
Oh That's funny. No, yeah, you should definitely read this book that I'm almost finished. Like I'm in the last chapter. Your Mind on Art, I think is what it's called.
Your Mind on Art.
Um, yeah, it's exactly what you're talking. Oh, it's exactly what you're talking about, though. It talks a lot about how music, art, all that connect to our brain and how it makes us better. That's all I would say
Yeah.
is better.
And
But
I'm sure they probably talked about the Cladney
yeah,
plates
I'm
on
pretty
there.
sure they did too. But it's funny because in a couple of previous podcasts, I was talking about how they brought up Hopies, and I was like, oh, they didn't like it wasn't really them bringing it up. They did bring it back up again in this like almost second to last chapter, and there is like a lot of I wouldn't say research, but a lot of researchers have focused on how Hopis and like the way that we are as community and how we like value art and how that all connects. So it does, the book does dig deeper
Yeah.
into Hopi culture and how our music, our dancing, our culture, and how we value that makes us, I guess, a tighter community.
Yeah. No, that
Yeah.
makes sense. And I feel like, there are like teachings a lot of the times behind like the drum and whatnot, and how that like has like a healing aspect to it as well
Yeah.
for yourself. And so I could definitely see that being, interesting to other people as well, because it's not
Yeah.
very a common practice.
Yeah, I also learned that like when we sing in sync, I think a lot of it too has to do with being in sync. So like when you dance in sync, I mentioned that last time, but they also mention a lot about when you sing in sync and like that makes you connect to the people you're singing with on a different level. That's why
Hmm.
marching bands are so like they have good chemistry as a band is because they
Yeah.
do everything in sync.
Yeah. Well, sometimes like it tickles a different part of my brain when like something is like
Ew.
executed right, and like like just like perfect to the T, and it's so satisfying. Like I don't know how to explain that feeling, and I think like just being around it growing up, like you see it
Mhm.
it just like always like gives me a little tickle in my brain, and like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Well, yeah, that's what the book talks about too is the art of aesthetics, how aesthetics makes our brains like and makes
Um,
us feel good. Like
yeah.
that's kind of what the concept of the whole book is.
Which like I feel like with TikTok and like you get
Oh
on the
my
aesthetic part of TikTok, that
God,
also
true.
tickles my brain, and I'm like, oh, it really makes me want to clean my room and make it look like that room.
I thought you were talking about like when they cut sand and random stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the TikToks that have like the split, and it'll have like a random like interesting video, then it'll also have
A story.
like like playing in the sand and like
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. No, I've okay, confession. I've so intrigued by some of the like weird aesthetic pleasing videos that I don't even listen to the story. And one time my girlfriend Jess was like, "What are you listening to?" And I had it was like a whole story about some man cheating on his wife, and like it went off into this whole other like thing. But I was not even listening to that. I was just watching the cutting of the whatever it was, the video.
Remember when we tried to cut soap?
Oh yeah, you did that. That was
You
not me.
wanted to do it with me, Amber. Okay, what's your learning topic this week?
All right. I'm going to share my fun fact because we've been off for a week. We'll also update a little bit on that later, but I had one planned and ready for last week, but I have a new one. So my fun fact is I learned that there are actually thousands of people who die every year from shoveling snow. So um, I learned that it's actually really bad to, when you shovel snow, to actually pick it up. So when you shovel snow, you're just supposed to push it. You're not supposed to like scoop it up and throw it somewhere, because if it's cold enough, your heart will obviously stop beating. And then when you start exerting so much energy into shoveling the snow, it makes you go into cardiac arrest. So there are actually very healthy people, young people, old people, people who weren't even at risk for a heart attack that die from this because they shovel snow when they shouldn't be. Yeah, kind of sad. But
sad.
PSA, and it was snowing recently. You can't tell now because all the snow's gone. But so yeah, that was my little scare. But on another level, this week I learned a lot about how health insurance works.
That's a rabbit hole.
I'll just spill the beans. But the past week I had gallbladder removal surgery. Don't know the medical term for it, but so I got my gallbladder taken out, and this is like the first surgery I've ever had, and this is honestly like the first time I've really dealt with having to go to doctors and the hospitals and like specialists and all that. So I've been like trying to learn how insurance works, which like I kind of had an idea, like deductibles. I was like, okay, I'll just keep paying out of my pocket until one day they tell me not to. But now, like, luckily there are apps for this, so you can like see all this stuff. But I think I just learned a lot about how medical bills work, unfortunately, but also how it gets paid and how insurance can kind of save your ass from things like that, and how to schedule, how long it actually takes to get an appointment with specialists.
Referrals and everything.
Yeah, referrals. Oh my God, referrals drove me crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole
thing
world out there. Yeah, luckily
thing.
I have Nevaeh, who obviously has some insight into that, and my mom. My mom's really good at.
Yeah, no, she's like an avid health insurance user. Like, you know, I think that's also something though that people don't really talk about or like encourage a lot, is like, you should have health insurance. Like, you should probably have health insurance because in the case of emergency and just in life, like, you know, you should have these checkups, making sure your health is okay. Well, I do think it is like a huge money scam issue kind of thing in the long run, but like if you're paying for it, use it. And I think that our mom is very good at the using part of the health insurance, and so I hope that this journey, well, I hope it's more of a positive journey. I hope that you kind of continue to at least use those insights that you've learned and continue, because it is very confusing. Like, I still am shocked sometimes when, like, you know, I hear like stories in clinic and like the whole process of it all. I'm like, it's over my head sometimes.
Right. Yeah. But I think it's really, yeah, like you said, it's really valuable to use it, because I've been paying for this insurance for like 3 years I've had this company. And now I think about it, I'm like, wow, the first year I didn't even go see a doctor.
Yeah.
So there goes my money. But also, like, you should be using those resources. And honestly, like, yeah, some insurances have a bad rep, and maybe I'm just lucky with what I have, but they're kind of helpful. Like, if you are nice to them, they're very helpful, and there's a lot of resources that they offer.
Yeah. And I think too, like, obviously depending on the scenario and the severity of like your health condition, I'm sure it can get pretty messy very quickly. And you know, what I've noticed a lot, like working in healthcare, is that, and I think just in life, but everything goes by so quickly. You know, you want to see the most patients every day as much as you can. You want to do the most you can in quantity, and their
Mhm.
misses really out on that whole quality aspect, or like there's at least trying to make a balance of like quantity and quality of for patient experience and whatnot. But it definitely is not. It definitely needs work for sure. But
Yeah.
I and it's also hard to navigate as well. So like I was happy
Mhm.
to at least feel like I could provide some insight, because like I could not imagine for somebody even just like having a gallbladder removal, like that is considered like a
Ye
lower case on the
Yeah,
spectrum of it all.
unfortunately.
Yeah, right. And so, not having that insight even to just, have this general procedure done, like it could be like a huge thing for somebody else. And that's how it becomes like life threatening to that point if you don't know how to
Yeah.
navigate those interactions and conversations and ask the questions and what questions you should ask.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing too that I took away from it is like being an advocate for your own health. I think
Mm,
that y- like you said, doctors see millions of people every day, and like although most of them try to like give you their best, work, their best effort, and like I believe that a lot of doctors have good intentions, but
yeah.
at the same time, like there are just so many people who need a doctor, so you have to be able to kind of speak for yourself and, like you said, ask those questions, which can be the hard thing to because you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and also just navigating like where to start. That was my thing. Is like
Mm,
where do I start? Like you go to emergency room and they're like, "Do you have a primary care?" And I didn't at a time, and it's like, okay, so and I guess I
yeah.
gotta go find a primary care before I can get a referral to somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of loops to hop through. So if you guys don't have a primary care, my first and only goal for 2025 for you would be to go find a general practitioner. I think that's what they're
Yeah.
called.
Also, finding one you like as well, or like one that
True.
listens to you, because you can have a doctor and, they might not exactly understand your
Yeah.
situation. So, knowing that that's an option as well, that you don't have, like, you're not stuck there. Like, you can
Yeah.
change if you want to, if you don't feel right. So,
For sure. No, that's kind of what I was talking about because like I like my like primary care right now. Like she's really nice, and I my first place I went, for those of you guys who are native, I went with the like IHS here in Denver because that was just like the first place I chose to go. But then I was after I've been kind of like going to all these other specialists, it makes me realize like, okay, I get how hospitals kind of work as
mhm.
like a business. So I'm like, maybe like further down the line, I'll like trade over to one of those hospitals because they have all my other records. So I might as well kind of just streamline it. But you learn
Yeah.
as you go.
Yeah, no, there's so much that goes into it. Like I was having a conversation with a couple of my other friends who work in this UNC system, and we all work in very different realms of the healthcare of UNC, and they've they've been a part of like the, I guess, system longer than I have, and the way that it transforms. Like healthcare are always transforming, they're always adding something new, and the ultimate goal is to see more patients. And
Yeah.
so it gets really confusing. And some, like, even being in it, I don't think that sometimes they even know as well. It's like what's going on
Yeah.
majority of the time. But um, I'm glad you're here with another podcast for us, and
Gallbladder less.
gallbladderless, Amber minus gallbladder.
Yeah. No, so it was a good learning thing, tough time, but a lot of learning. And I now know moving forward, I can offer some assistance to others and I can know what to do if something like this ever happens again.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting to
Oh,
know.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exciting to know that you feel like confident, I guess, in taking away. Because I feel like you also had to jump through a lot of hoops to get more insight information. Where we come from, like a huge family that is also gallbladderless.
True.
So,
That should be another fun fact. I learned that a lot of Native Americans have no gallbladder.
yeah, which I know maybe that'll be a conversation for another day. But that's definitely a huge problem. Um,
Yeah. That's crazy. They should do
uh,
more research into that.
on the
Honestly,
positive side,
there's
any positive things?
Any positive things? I'm healing.
That's good. Are you
Yeah.
sleeping better? Genuine question.
What?
Genuine
That's so
question.
um, better than I was before.
That's good. That's good. Because sleep is really
Yeah,
important.
true. Damn, are you saying something? Because that bag's
Well,
over
no.
it.
So I went to this healthy. So on Friday, I went to this healthy Native North Carolinians event, and they were talking about like different like practices that can contribute to a healthy lifestyle. And there was a
Hmm.
lady, and she said something that really, I guess, resonated with me, I should say. But they were talking about like cultural burning and like the benefits of burning the land, and then
Hmm.
how it'll allow that space to regrow like the traditional plants that are used for like different medicine and whatnot. But one of the like elders that was there, she talked about like how, being at the cultural burning, that it made her like really happy to be there, and she exerted a lot of like energy. So when she went home, she like slept like a baby, and she said that like prior to that she was having so much trouble with sleeping. And I don't think people sleep is so underrated sometimes, and so I just checking in to see if you're sleeping.
No, no, that's valid. There's actually a book I've been wanting to read. I think it's called Why We Sleep or something like that. It's
Hmm.
like a pretty well-known book um that I've always been wanting to read. But yeah, no, I feel you. I feel like that's another thing I guess I learned from this whole experience was like that our body needs to rest.
Mm.
And like going through something like having gallbladder issues or just any kind of issues, like it takes a toll on your body.
Yeah.
So like it's also like a long recovery time. Like you're not just going to snap back to normal after something's gone. Like your body has to readjust to everything all over again.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Which I feel like goes into like, I know your interest of like nutrition and like how can you supplement your body in a way that
Yeah.
you can heal but also have like the energy to want to do things. Because like thinking like like at the physiology of it all, like
Hmm.
you only have so much energy to give, especially if you are not eating healthy, and having that right nutrients to supplement the energy needed to for your body to heal, but also to do the things that you want to do in
Yeah.
everyday life. So in everyday life.
Yeah. No, seriously. I think that's kind of one thing that it's funny because I was like, oh, my goal for this year is like going to be nutrients and all that. But now, like, that I'm in recovery, I've been digging really deep into like supplement like vitamins and like what we all
Mm,
need and like having a no gallbladder now, like you got to be able to like your gallbladder was there for a reason, like yes, you can live without
yeah.
it essentially, but like it was doing something at one point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like learning how am I going to be able to get those vitamins that the gallbladder helped me with without a gallbladder. So
Yeah.
like there there's some compensation you have like yeah, I feel better overall, but now I'm going to have to work on maintaining my nutrition so that I can compensate for a lost gallbladder.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think too, like this will kind of lead the pathway for the observation of other things as well. Because, unfortunately, like when these things happen and then you start to like remember, okay, like maybe I should take care of my nutrition and go to the hospital, or not go to the hospital, take care of my nutrition, go for a walk or something, physical, get movement in. That prevents you from going to the hospital. So you don't have to deal with the issues of things like insurance for
True.
like big issues. Like, I mean, you should probably still get checkups, but like you don't have to like run into those issues of having
Yeah.
to get
Like
referrals, see specialists and whatnot. Which, it makes you a little bit more grateful for
yeah,
some
like being
what you
proactive about
have.
your health.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously. Unless like there are some things that are genetics like this,
That's true.
like
That
sometimes
is
you
true.
can't, it's inevitable. It's kind of
Yeah.
funny now because like our aunt's like, "Oh my god, I don't want to lose my gallbladder." But like, it's funny cuz like it's
Your
kind of
chances are not very
genetics kind
high.
of suck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I work in scoliosis. So, the patients that I see, like, it's not like they're coming in because they're like ill, I guess, quote unquote. Like, they're still healthy kids, but, they were just given a wrong set of genes, and ended up with a curvy back. That's great though. What a
Yeah.
January, Amber. Way to start off the year.
Yeah. So that's how I'm starting off my year, unfortunately. Took some time off of work for this.
That's good.
Back in it now. Honestly, I mean, it kind of helped because we were doing a no spend in January. So, I mean, yes, I spend a lot of money on medical bills, but I didn't spend money anywhere else.
That's actually really funny. You like spent the most money you could in January, but didn't at the same time.
True.
What a expensive hobby there.
Right. Oh my God.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
exciting. That's exciting though.
So congratulations to everyone else who made it through dry January, no spend January, whatever January you were doing.
Yes.
We stuck to ours, dry January, and no spend January.
I didn't do no spend January.
No.
Maybe I did. You know, I was talking about this with a lot of my friends who have also done dry January, and like the amount of money I saved this month, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting because it also made me realize too that I need to start looking into other hobbies that don't involve going to the bar and hanging out with friends. Like you can still hang out with your friends, but you know, it just takes a little bit more creativity and exploring and checking new things out. So that really, it was something that I took away from this month and want to carry out through the rest of the year. And honestly, and I feel like it also made me realize that like you really don't need these things to have a good life as well.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm growing up, y'all. So taking it day by day.
Yeah. I think it's very hard. Like I kind of think about that sometimes too. Like if I'm going to hang out with my friends, usually there's drinking involved, right?
Yeah.
It's not always like heavy drinking, but there's always drinking. So it's like being able to do things.
I think it's the easiest thing to do. That's why. I don't know. I was thinking about that too because I was like, okay, what can we do? What can we do here? And we would like send each other like TikToks of like our like reels, I guess, of things to do that didn't involve alcohol. And we talked about like going to like a tea bar instead of like an actual bar and having like hot tea and trying different herbal
coffee
drinks.
you could hang out in the daytime rather than at night.
Or like just going on adventures too. I feel like we took a lot of time planning this Galentine's, so we would like take our time doing that, which was super fun. And it was executed very nicely, I will say, not to toot our my own horn, I guess, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
No. More physical activity like hiking. I don't know if do you hike in North Carolina?
There's a couple places you can hike, but I went to again that Healthy Native North Carolinians gathering, and that was actually at the Botanical Garden on like by UNC campus. And I've never gone to that botanical garden before, but they had so many like trails. They had trails that were made specifically for dogs. They had like, you know, just like what you would expect for like, I guess a sanctuary is what I think you would call it. So I would definitely like want to go back there and check out the different like native plants that are here, because I don't know if anybody else is like this, but like I have a weird thing with species, but like in nature, but like it's not something I dig too deep into. But like I'll be like, oh, look at that tree over there, or like if I like birds.
She likes rocks.
I like rocks. Yeah. So what kind of rocks they got out here in North Carolina? That's what I'm trying to know.
That's valid.
So I would love to get into that as a hobby as well. And I think I also might pursue my bird watching hobby this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. I'm going to get some binoculars and I want to order a book. I heard there's groups though, like that you can gather with and they'll teach you how to like learn how to bird watch.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Meetup app?
No.
Yeah, there's an app called Meetup. I'm not sure. I guess obviously it'll probably vary on usage per city, but it's a big thing here. So it's called Meetup, and you can join groups of your type of interests. Like
Oh.
that's how Jess, my girlfriend, found like a group of people who like WNBA or like women in sports here in Denver. So then being in
Oh.
that group, she was able to like find all their social pages and like where they meet up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because I also, so obviously I'm getting more into the scene of like having to find friends that aren't like coming through school. And I think it's definitely been an interesting journey for myself to like try to navigate that all. And like, how do you like take the initiative to like ask somebody like, hey, like, what's your name? And then, but also maintaining that communication to develop a friendship. And
Yeah.
that's something we talked about yesterday because I was like, dang, like, how do you know all these people? Like, you're not even from here. And but they like they know so many people. And I think I might make a couple friends at the bird watching group if there is one.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, the hard thing for me is finding friends without alcohol involved. Like I'm really like if I'm at the bar, I can make a million friends at the
Yeah.
bar, but it's like away from that. Usually the friends I make are friends of friends.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other way I guess I've been making friends for the most part. But I would like to try to try a different approach as well and
Yeah.
um have friends that I can do other things that my other friends might not particularly be interested in, such
Yeah.
as bird
Yeah.
watching.
That's funny. One thing I've been wanting to do more, but kind of inspired by my book, is I want to go to more museums and like more
Ah.
shows like that. Um, just the random ones too. I think I've always been pretty good at going to like music shows, like random like park ones. Like I love going to
Oh
parks.
yeah.
That's one thing I'm pretty good at is when I see events at parks, like I'll make the effort to go to those. But I want to go to more like establishments like we have a bunch of museums downtown that I want to check out, and I know there are like even smaller ones on like more niche neighborhoods out and about. So that's one
That
thing I
would
want
be
to do more
fun.
of.
It's
Yeah.
especially if they're free. Like a museum that's free and you don't have to pay admissions. I definitely think you should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because I know
Yeah.
here in the Raleigh Museum, that one's free. I've been
Hmm.
wanting to go there. That and Duke Gardens. I want to go to Duke Gardens soon. And then hopefully have a new set of places for us to go when you visit. And then you
Oh,
can take me to your museums.
true. Yeah. So that's some new things.
So
We're
updates.
uh, trying to figure out what to do with our life in 2025.
Yeah. Especially
Uh,
because I feel like nothing, at least for our media family, we don't have like any huge plans this year or like any big events. So we're all
yeah.
kind of like in this like waiting period, which I think I've talked about a lot, like using this year to, try new
Yeah.
things and not feel restrained in a
Yeah.
sense.
I'm curious if any of our listeners actually have family reunions because our
Mm,
family has never had a reunion, both sides, mom and dad side. Not that I know of. Maybe I'm just left out, but but I'm just curious, like, you know, if y'all have
yeah.
those big
Are those a thing? That's the
family.
question.
They are one of my old coworkers, which also happens to be family member of one of my mom's old coworkers. But they had a that's how they found out that we knew, similar people was because they had their family had a big old family reunion
Wow.
and yeah,
Shirts and all.
shirts and all,
Wow.
right?
That's cool.
So when I introduced my like acquaintance, old coworker to my mom, she was like, "Oh, did you go to the reunion?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, you must be related to so and so."
Wait, that's actually weird. You didn't tell me about
Yeah, and then
that.
she was like, I'll just call her my friend. My friend was like, "Yeah, I just met him at my family reunion." And I was like, "Oh wow."
Interesting. What a
Yeah,
small world, though, also.
right.
What a small world. That's crazy.
Yeah, that'd be so funny to throw a family reunion.
Yeah. I imagine, though, like, how it would go for us. You know?
True.
I think it's just like family dynamics are always so funny to me. And I don't know, like I like a whole like just a day for us to gather and do what? I'm just kidding.
Right? What do you do? What do you do at a family reunion?
I'll bring my cornhole boards.
That's funny.
That's kind of all I associate family gatherings with is like cornhole.
Cornhole. You lived in Minnesota too long.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I feel like also too, I think we would really benefit that as well because I think it's different for a lot of Native families because you're going out every weekend and you're seeing your entire family, ideally majority typically.
Yeah.
So like that doesn't really call for a family reunion because everybody already sees each other pretty
Yeah.
frequently. But like now, like that we've all grown up and are like with the things that happen in life, I'm here, you're there, they're there, and everything. I think that we would really benefit off of a good old family gathering. Dibs on making the shirts.
Oh my gosh.
My
funny.
Cricut.
All right.
Put that thing to work.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. Yeah. That'd be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, I agree. What are you looking forward to in February?
February. This is my month to try to get back to, I'm shooting for at least 80%. Apparently recovering from gallbladder surgery is supposed to be kind of a monthly, yearly kind of thing, but I'm hoping to try to get out and about again, get back to my normal daily schedule. I've been doing pretty good up until the surgery. Yeah, I'm going to reset in February, but also wink wink at work, but it's bonus season coming up in March / raise time. So I'm like really hoping for a raise in March. I mean, it's kind of inevitable, but it's just something to look forward to. So
yeah.
And then, like I mentioned in the last episode, we're going to be moving. Not sure exactly like if that's renting or buying, but just finding a place that we want to actually move to and try to get that emotion. That's kind of February. It's kind of short though, so
yeah, it is
more like planning all that to start in March.
Mm-hmm. I think the springtime is really crazy, especially like with everything. Like everything happens in the spring. I feel like, and I think it's just because people are out of hibernation.
Yeah,
like the good old groundhog, like the good old groundhog telling us we got 6 more weeks of winter. Do you believe in that?
She's pissed at the groundhog.
Do you believe in the groundhog?
Rodent.
The rodent? Yeah. Do you believe in the groundhog rodent?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. I don't.
But I mean, I don't know because it's funny that you said that because I forgot who said it to me, but it was like, oh, it looks like spring's coming already. And then the next day you're like, oh, that groundhog said it's going to be winter.
6 more weeks of winter. That's how they say it. That's how they say it. No, I agree because it's been getting really warm. Like the other day, I did not have to wear a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just walking. I was just raw dogging it out there. No jacket.
That's funny. Let's see what the weather is right now. It did get warm here, but it's supposed to go back cold. 62. But
are you I think we've talked about this before. Winter, summer, spring. What did you say?
I'm usually a winter person, but this year kind of skewed me.
Oh, well, good thing I asked you, Seth.
Yeah, I'm usually a winter person. Like I like winter, but I think spring's also kind of my vibe. I do like the months of January through March.
Yeah.
Maybe even April.
Because it's Justin Bieber's birthday on March 1st.
Oh my God.
Do you think he's going to go on tour?
Yeah, he's going to go on tour.
Was it announced?
His album. No. But he did announce a new album.
I did see that.
Yeah, so I guess maybe I'm like a winter spring.
Okay. I like spring for sure. Yeah, spring. But I will say living in now 3 states, I have a different perception on each like season because they're also very different. Like
Yeah.
here, it's gonna rain a lot. Like we get a lot of rain, and I get a lot of rain, so it just makes it a little bit tougher for me to like spring to
Mhm.
like summer because of the amount of rain. Like I know, we should love it, but like it's just it kind of it's a hassle. It's a hassle. And when it rains here, it doesn't like, oh, beautiful like rain. It's like like thunderstorm, like washing out like everything. So it's not like a nice pretty rain. But we got snow here.
Yeah.
We got 2 days of snow, which
And
I've lived here now for 2.5 years, and that's the first time I've seen snow here.
wow.
It's cool.
I guess that's why people like you learn where in America you like to live. Like
Mm.
just base because um there was someone that I know of that they moved here to Colorado from Florida. It's just my girlfriend's coworker she was telling me about, so I don't know them, but someone moved here to Colorado from Florida, and then the girlfriend didn't like it, so they moved to Arizona, which I guess makes sense because it's kind of more like Florida weather, hot, no cold. Some people don't like the cold.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
don't like snow. So it's like people migrate to where they
Yeah.
best fit in.
I'm sure she likes it too because the humidity in the South is horrible. I think that's why I don't like the summers here, is because I can't do the humidity. I'd rather stay out and sizzle on the ground in Phoenix
Oh my
versus
god,
sweat off all my makeup that I just worked really hard on.
that's valid.
I'll take my mascara melting over my whole entire face melting.
That's funny.
That is, that is.
So any other updates?
Any other updates? My January was pretty bland. For me, I did dry January, so I was actually really proud of that. Um, I've been doing a couple like mentality checks, I feel like, for myself this month, really checking like my ability to do so. So like even like with my food, like looking at my like food and like, okay, like am I really hungry? Do I really need that? Or am I just bored? And like kind of having that mentality shift. But that's like really the biggest thing that like I feel like I've been putting a lot of time towards in January. Nothing like really like physical,
Mhm.
luckily, thankfully. Um which is nice to have to be able the time to be able to do that, and not worry about anything else, I guess, besides obviously work and whatnot. But um I am have a couple trips planned for the springtime for different education opportunities. So that's kind of what's been rolling through my month and keeping me looking forward to the rest of the year as well. But
Mhm.
otherwise, I'm not doing much, just hanging out with my dogs, literally.
Oh.
Yeah, it's nice though. I feel like it's definitely a different pace and in life for me.
Mhm.
I do miss homework though, but studying for the MCAT kind of makes up for it.
Who says that?
I don't know, me, I guess. Me, I guess. Well, like studying for the MCAT, like I'm also struggling a lot with that mentality as well because I obviously know I have to do it because I should be doing it if I want to be a doctor. But
Mhm.
like it's building that structure around it and changing my mentality to look at it more as homework is really hard for me right now. So I've really just been trying to work on shifting my mentality and using it
Yeah.
in a way that benefits myself because I think I definitely neglected that over the past couple of years, being
Mhm.
in school and kind of just feeling like I had to push everything out and do like live by the standards that were given to me. So like now I'm kind of making my own standards of what is expected of myself for
Mhm.
me. So it's definitely been a lot of mental challenges, I think, like which I hope that I can conquer them now and live
Mhm.
a good rest of the year without having to think too much on that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think there's a lot going on too in the world, like you said, politics and all that. So it kind of feels like it's
Yeah.
a little I don't want to say negative, but it takes a toll on some people
Yeah.
and it's hard.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm
sure
with
I'm not
all
the
the
only
listeners out
person.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you guys are having some difficulty, like you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are outside forces that unfortunately I guess we don't really have much of a
Say
handle. Like yeah, like we're kind of left.
where what do they call it? What's the reference they use? Like a chess in a board, you know?
Okay, you and your sayings. Yeah, well, I guess
My
I kind of just
analogies.
feel yeah, I just feel kind of like I don't have any say, any power, any voice. I don't have a voice in all this, so it's kind of like a little depressing, but
Yeah.
also like just a little like hard mentally. It definitely affects my mental health,
Oh yeah,
like
no, for sure.
and
Especially
it's
because everybody plays their own role in society. Like, I'm in science, you're
mhm,
in tech, so it affects us individually the same, but
mhm.
differently in where it's at. Um,
Yeah.
so
And unfortunately like social media kind of makes that a little hard too because
mm,
then like you're constantly seeing negative things going on and like it's nice too that some people are like voicing their opinion and like helping spread I guess
awareness.
awareness, so it's nice to see that, but at the same time I guess it's just kind of a
It could be a lot,
yeah.
especially if you're hearing different takes on it all. Um, it can change the perception that you might have, and sometimes like you hear something and like, well, it might be the same thing as something else somebody said. It's just like the way that it's phrased and the connections that are drawn
Mm,
that make it a little bit difficult to swallow, I think, for the most part. So definitely,
yeah.
yeah, I guess feeling the hurts of the status of the world, but also trying to figure out like, what can I do? What should, like, how do I
Mhm.
keep moving in all of this? And even with
Yeah.
school, like, I have to think about, like, okay, if things don't work in my favor, what alternative steps can I take to address this
Yeah.
issues and continue for me to be able to pursue the things that I want to pursue? So it's definitely like, yeah, it's overwhelming, but I'm definitely trying to take like a more positive mentality, like I'm trying to take a positive like stance on it and using it as
Mhm.
a way to kind of like, okay, maybe this is just like a sign for you to figure out how to better um critically think about, I guess, my own life and where I'm
Mhm.
at. So it's definitely a lot over here as well.
Yeah.
But
So it's like something that you're not like consciously thinking about, at least for me, but like it's subconsciously there. And like I
yeah.
know it's there, but I'm trying to like continue on with my normal things.
Yeah, and especially changing the things that you can do. So like
Mhm.
that's kind of what I use that mentality, like I said, like kind of like my eating habits and being more like conscious, like, okay, if you're going to be like overthinking something, might as well think about your like food and how much food you're eating, and is it healthy? Are you choosing the best alternative? Are you taking the steps for you to be healthy? And so I definitely, yeah, trying to apply the overwhelming, overthinking, wiser thinking to something that'll at least I can have control of in my life. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
also a tough topic, like
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to conversate with people. And unfortunately, like politics do separate some people. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's kind of hard to find someone that you trust to talk about some things with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so much uncertainty in a lot of these conversations as well. So like even I like you see information, but like can you really trust that source of
Hmm.
information, and is it biased, is it not biased, and that can feed into it a lot as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just life every day over here for me, just processing overthinking as I do, but definitely not trying to let it swallow me. That's for sure.
No.
That is for sure.
Yeah. Curious to know what our listeners do to cope with these types of situations that go on. Do you guys have someone you talk to? Like, I'm lucky. I'm glad that you found a friend in North Carolina, that has
Yeah.
some similar values as you, because can you imagine being out there in this time with no support other
Yeah.
than your husband and your dog?
Yeah.
Like that's tough.
Mm. It helps a lot for sure. Cause even sometimes, like, when they put out a lot of information, they do not think about the like level of reading. And I kind of also feel for those individuals who like might read something and not understand it. So if you ever feel like that, there's either summaries at the bottom of the page, depending on what you're reading it, or you can put it into ChatGPT and it'll translate it to something that you understand. Because sometimes people be putting out some things and I'm like, what do you even mean by that? So like even
Yeah.
those scenarios, it's always nice to have individuals that kind of have a similar stance as you do, but also like help you talk through what that might mean for you as an individual, but also for like a larger the society as a whole, how that might impact us. So it helps there to kind of process that information a lot of the times because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun though. Otherwise, Galentine's, that
Oh
was
my
fun.
gosh.
My
I'm
birthday's coming
sad
up.
lately
What?
because Luca got traded to the Lakers. So if I don't see myself today, everyone, it's because I woke up to
She's
sad news.
Amber's facing a loss right now.
Yeah, I am in mourning of Luca.
No, that's
He's
definitely
my
tough.
favorite player, and he's going to the Lakers, which is my least favorite team.
Oh, you just opened up a Pandora's box.
Oh my gosh. Come at me. um, yeah. On a positive note, we appreciate all our listeners sending us some comments.
Oh yeah.
We've received several different DMs. And we've read all of them and we've discussed all of them. And like, I really appreciate all of you guys taking the time to just tell us how you feel and how you guys are enjoying the podcast. And
Hmm.
some of you guys have given us some recommendations that we have right on our planning list. So we have that in our mind and hoping that we can bring on some guests to also help elaborate on some of these ideas that you guys have. And yeah, you
Yeah,
guys.
that was really cool. I think that was really cool to see that individuals took the time to write us, and I was geeking out a little bit when I got them. But we talked through them. We're making plans to address the questions or comments or topics or information that you would like to see from the Growin Up podcast. And again, as we're kind of in I would say the like initial part of, I guess not initial, like beginning part of our podcast. We're hoping to, obviously incorporate those things. So keep the information or topics or suggestions coming. We love to hear it. Also, again, it helps us a lot in the planning process of it all and creating stuff, because it's nice to see that people like to hear us talk as well.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Also, yeah, I totally agree. Sorry, I cut you off. But also, I think it's good for us to like grow our network. Like, there are some of you guys
Hmm.
that we've never met, and I would like love to meet you guys maybe one day. If our paths cross. And um, some of you guys mentioned your backgrounds, and I'd like to know more about that as well because I that's what I love. I love hearing what other people do and what they enjoy. So maybe this communication will go further. Maybe you'll be
Yeah.
on here one day.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's also, again, I feel like a big topic that comes up a lot in our conversations is friendships and connections. So, we definitely take every moment to make more friends and have somebody to talk to.
True.
So I would love for us to keep having those conversations with you, whether that obviously be through the podcast, the comments, but also individually if you would like to as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out like on our personal pages too, like if you have something you're interested in.
Yeah.
Um
Or
Nevaeh
questions.
manages Nevaeh manages the Growing Up Podcast Instagram. So I don't see them directly, but she does share them with me. So if you have any questions for me, I'm just kidding. Feel free to reach out. Yeah.
And
So
also, any comments on the logo as well? I know we kind of hard launched really quickly out of the blue, but we're hoping that we're creating aesthetically, back to the beginning of our conversation, aesthetic material, I guess is what, I don't know, that sounds super sciencey. Content. Thank you.
Yeah.
Content. I gotta get my science hat off and put on my content hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely, we're always looking to grow. So if you have any suggestions, and definitely let us know.
Yeah. And sorry, we only brought 2 episodes this month of January. Or, well, now it's February, but only brought 2 months. But thanks for bearing with us because we were going through some gallbladder removal. And moving forward, we are ready and we are here. But I guess it's just a reminder too, you know, life happens, and sometimes you can't plan for everything.
Exactly. And you know, we try to keep it, how would you describe it? Keep consistent. Yeah. Consistent with you all as well.
It may not be every time, but we will try to stay consistent.
Yep.
And also, I'm almost finishing my book. So if you guys have any book recommendations for my month of February, let me hear it because I am open to all recommendations.
Bookworm.
Thanks.
Thanks in advance. Thanks for listening to the Growin Up Podcast. Again, if you want to stay tuned on any new episodes or any new information, you can follow us on our socials on Instagram, which are going to be down in the description below. Subscribe if you like to see more content and stay up to date with the posting schedule on YouTube. And also give us a like, comment, and yeah.
And share the podcast with your friends.
Yes. If you love us, share us. We're here for you all.
All right. And we are out. Bye.